My second book, The Original Names, Words and Everything in Between, Volume 2 is now available to purchase. Get your copy today by searching Word Origins Book on Amazon and clicking on the non-sponsored link, or by checking whatever books are available in your part of the world. The United States of America is a country with a lot of good things going for it, and one of the most incredible things about this nation has to be its natural beauty. From mountain ranges, thick forests, sprawling deserts and snow-laden lands, the USA seems to have it all. Thankfully, the beauty of this untapped nature was realized and protected. The first national park in the USA and the world was Yellowstone, which was established on the 1st of March 1872. From this first national park, the USA now has 63 of them. While these parks are incredible sights to behold, quite often their names are not as impressive. A lot of these national parks have names that are not the most inspiring, often simply being named quite literally after a feature in the park. Take Big Bend National Park in Texas, named after a rather large bend in the river, or even Glacier National Park in Montana, named after, well, the many glaciers within it. There are many more with to-the-point names like this, which you can go look into for yourself, so I won't bother hammering home this point any further. Luckily, however, this is not the case for every national park in the USA, as some have names that are just as interesting as their landscape. These range from some of the most visited national parks in the nation to some of the more obscure ones. So let's find out how these national parks got their names. However, I first need to confess something. As you know, these Wednesday videos are suggested by patrons, and the initial suggestion for this one was the national parks of the USA and Canada. Well, after looking into the national parks of Canada, I think they can have a video unto themselves sometime in the future. So I found a selection of names from these parks that I feel are interesting enough to be covered here, and for the fun of it, let's tackle them in alphabetical order. This means we'll be starting with ACADIA National Park in the state of Maine. The name of this park is an ode to a former name the state of Maine had. When the land was under French rule, they named it ACADIA, which derives from the Greek Arcadia, meaning idyllic place. While no longer under French rule, this name is a reminder of that time in the state's history. In South Dakota, we have the Badlands National Park. What exactly made these lands so bad, I wonder? Well, the bad in this name doesn't relate to bad in a moral sense, but bad in a quality sense. This land has some quite bad qualities, it would seem, from the lack of water to the tough terrain. Even the native Lakota people use the name Makosika, which means land bad. Once French Canadian hunters started to explore here, they referred to this land as Les Mauvais Terres pour Traverse, which means bad land to travel through. And from here, this name got shortened and translated into English to give us just Badlands. Biscayne National Park in Florida is composed of various islands and coral reefs, all with a view of Miami in the distance. We don't actually seem to be entirely sure as to where this name came from. Instead, we have a handful of theories, none of which are thought to be the definitive origin of this name, however. The theory I enjoy most is that this national park of the USA is named after the Bay of Biscay, which is nestled between France and Spain. This would make a degree of sense, as of course this part of the USA does have a large Spanish influence. So perhaps early Spanish settlers of the Americas felt this part of the land was similar to the Bay of Biscay back home, though as I mentioned, this is just a theory. In South Carolina, we have the National Park of CONGAREE. This park seems to be named after people native to the land, the CONGAREE people. However, it seems that the CONGAREE people are no longer around. From what I could gather on them, they have all since died out or merged with other Native American tribes. Due to this, we don't seem to even know where their name came from in the first place. What we do know, however, is that this park, as well as a river in the state, are named after them. So while the CONGAREE may not live on, thankfully their name does. The Cuyahoga Valley National Park in Ohio is named after a river that runs through it. So for this one, we need to ask ourselves as how this river got this name. Well, this river is rather bendy, and it's thought that those bends influenced this name, as Cuyahoga is believed to come from the Mohawk language and mean a crooked river, simply because of how crooked this river was and still is. Denali National Park can be found in the state of Alaska. This whole park is named after the Denali Mountain, the tallest mountain in North America. Once upon a time, this mountain and the park were named Mount McKinley after US President William McKinley. It was officially known under this name until 2015, when the native name of Denali was brought back into official use. Supposedly, many in Alaska had been using the native name for all those years, even when McKinley was its official name. But what does this native name even mean then? Well, it is of Athabascan origins, a tribe native to the interior of Alaska, and it simply means the high one. This name makes quite a bit of sense, as this mountain is incredibly high up. As mentioned, it's the single tallest mountain in all of North America. In the state of Texas, we have the Guadalupe Mountains National Park. This name has quite a bit of history behind it. It's thought to ultimately come from a small town in Spain, which also has a river of a similar name nearby. So why is there a national park in Texas with the name of a small town in Spain? Well, it's because in the 14th century, there was an apparition of the Virgin Mary in this town. This became an incredibly holy place, and the name Guadalupe became deeply linked with the religion and the Virgin Mary. As we know, this is part of the USA that has a heavy Spanish influence, so it must have been them who named these mountains after Mary. But instead of naming them directly after her, they named them after the holy site where she is believed to have appeared. Even the USA's island state of Hawaii has multiple national parks too, one of those being Haleakala National Park on the state's second largest island. This national park is named after a dormant volcano of the same name within it, with this volcano's name meaning House of the Sun. I can definitely understand the origin of this name. Magma/lava and the sun have very similar qualities, both are pretty hot and pretty bright, so I can see why it may seem like a volcano is housing the sun. Michigan's National Park of Isle Royale sits within Lake Superior, and despite being a part of the USA, it's closer to Canada than any part of the USA. Initially, this island has the Chippewa name of Minong, which meant good high place. However, the modern name of Isle Royale is believed to come from French missionaries. They would have named it in honor of their royal patrons, simply naming it in ode to royals in general, as opposed to one specific royal person. Katmai National Park is back up in Alaska, and annoyingly I couldn't find out where its name derived from, apart from the fact that this park is named after the volcano within it of the same name. So why am I talking about it here? Well, a valley within this national park has a very interesting name, that being the Valley of 10,000 Smokes. This is a very evocative name. What does it mean by 10,000 smokes? Well, these smokes are thought to be the various fumes and gases that rise from the volcanic ground that make up this valley. Mount Rainier National Park is definitely one of the more popular parks in the USA. Located within Washington state, over 1 million people visit this park on a yearly basis. Of course, this park is named after the mountain that dominates its skyline, and this mountain is named after one Peter Rainier, an officer in the Royal Navy and dear friend of George Vancouver. When George sighted this mountain, he named it after his friend. Of course, Rainier also has a native name too, that being Tahoma among other things, given by the Salish natives. It's believed this name means mother of water. Unlike Denali, however, this native name has not yet been reinstated as the mountain's official name. Washington state is also home to Olympic National Park. Now, why on earth do we have a national park named after a sporting competition? Well, I'm sure you know that this name initially derives from Mount Olympus in Greece. It was thought to be the home of the Olympians of Greek mythology. This name of Mount Olympus was simply used again in this part of the USA to honor those gods. In turn, this entire range was called the Olympic Mountains, and the national park also got that name too. Saguaro National Park in Arizona is named after the saguaro cactus, an icon of the American Southwest. As to how these cacti got their name, however, we don't seem to be too sure. It's thought to possibly come from the Yaqui people who initially came from modern day Mexico. Maybe their word for this plant got mixed with Spanish and gave us the name we have today, though that's just an idea. Whatever the case may be, this iconic plant became the namesake for this park. From the nation's west to its east, we have Shenandoah National Park in Virginia. We don't seem to be too sure as to what this name means. However, most sources seem to agree that it's of Native American origins, though what natives exactly we don't seem to know. The most popular theory on this name is that it means spruce river, with spruce being a type of tree that grows here and river being, well, river. Another idea for this name's origins is that it comes from native root and means clear daughter of the stars, with this clear daughter being a river within the park that was clear enough to see the stars in. While this theory isn't as popular, it gives the park a very pretty name meaning, that's for sure. Then we arrive at Yellowstone National Park, located across Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. This is probably the most well-known national park in the USA, and as mentioned up top, it's first. Yellowstone is a name we've covered before in our Places Named After Colors video, but as a reminder, this park is named after a river, which is named after its yellow stones. While not bright yellow by any means, many in the past felt that the stones in the bed of this river had a yellowish tinge to them, so the entire park ended up being named after this fact. Even the Minatali natives called it Misi Adazi, which means Yellow Rock River. This name got passed on to the French, who called it Roche Jaune, which means Yellow Rock too, before it settled on Yellowstone in English. California is the state with the most national parks in the USA, and perhaps its most well known is Yosemite. This name initially referred to natives who lived here called the Yosemite, though it seems that they did not name themselves this, as Yosemite means killers, or those who kill. This name was used for them by the nearby Miwok tribes. It seems that these tribes did not get along, hence why they called them killers. This Native American feud, however, seems to be cemented in the name of this national park. There's even a national park starting with Z, that being Zion National Park in Utah. Zion is a name we covered pretty recently here on the channel with our Names of Jerusalem video. Zion is of course a deeply religious name, not just Judaism however, but in Christianity to a degree too. In this case, it was a Mormon who gave this land this name. Zion National Park was named by Mormon pioneer Isaac Behunin. In Mormonism, Zion is a term that can be used for a happy, peaceful place, and to him this slice of nature really was his Zion. It's easy to see why this national park could be viewed as a peaceful enough place to be compared to somewhere like heaven. In fact, the incredible nature that so many of these parks have on display make them all seem like a small slice of heaven on earth. US national parks were suggested by Prometheus Castlerock, and thanks to their suggestion, they will now be honoured as Name Explained's patron saint of US national parks. Do you have a good idea for somewhere that's name could be covered in a Name Explained video? If so, then please consider donating on Patreon. Just $1 a month helps keep the channel running, and earns you a weekly chance to suggest somewhere to be turned into a video, and you too could be a Name Explained Patreon saint. Thank you to all my patrons who support Name Explain on a monthly basis. Patreon is vital to Name Explain, and donating just $2 a month allows you to enjoy ad-free videos and bonus Patreon exclusive content. It also allows you to help choose what names get explained in upcoming videos, and gets your name here with all these awesome people. Thank you so much for all the support you guys give Name Explain. Thank you so much for reaching the end of the video. Check out another video and subscribe to stay in the loop on all things Name Explain. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram where I'm Name Explain YT, and also join the Facebook group Friends of Name Explain, both of which will be linked down below. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and once again, thank you all so much.